Today's lesson, on to today's lesson. Today's lesson, if you had an opportunity to see the thumbnail, you might be a little curious. Now, it says what? The real problem, right? The real problem, right? The real issue in our world today, right? You might have thought it was COVID, right? You might think it's the Russia-Ukraine war. You might even think the issue with the Palestine and Israel and all these different things. You might think that all these things, heck, you might even think the P. Diddy issues is the real issues that we got in the world. But there is a real, true issue, if you want to say an epidemic, a pandemic, something that needs our undivided attention, right? And it is what I would like to provoke for thought today. Fatherlessness, right? Children experiencing life or being brought into the world without a father, right? Do we ever talk about some of these real issues that many, you'd be surprised how many millions of families or children are existing or are being created and they do not have a father. Now, they might have males or men, if you want to say, but they lack a father. Y'all want to talk about that today? Anybody want to learn something today, right? I know if it was Mother's Day, y'all be loving on the mothers. We going to talk about the fathers today. Is that a good conversation? What better day than Father's Day for us to explore the fathers, right? For us to get a greater understanding of what a father is, right? And how does that now correlate to the success of children? Would you believe that there is statistical data that would enlighten us, that might even surprise us, that directly correlates to a child having a father? We're not talking about a male. We're not talking about just men. We're talking about fathers. And I'm being very specific when I highlight that, because you can have people in your lives that does not necessarily mean that they are a true father, right? So we understand that many, and we salute many people have stepped up to be father figures, right? Many people have stepped up, right? But some stepdaddies ain't fathers. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here, right? Some uncles, they ain't really fathers. They teaching you things, but they not really being a father figure or a father themselves, right? So your uncle that you admire, he might be a drug dealer. He might be a gangbanger. He might fly some flags and colors. Does that mean he is a father, right? Can he give you the things that a father can give you, right? Are we understanding that right? Right? Is it making sense? So there's plenty of baby daddies. We got a lot of baby daddies. There's a whole world full of baby daddies, right? There's a lot of boys out there that just because they have the ability to be seed shooters, I would call them, right? They know how to shoot their seed, don't necessarily mean that they are fathers, right? Do I got any witnesses in here? So today we want to explore this because this is a real issue. And when you begin to hear some of these statistics, you're going to ask yourself why, right? We done had war on terrorists. We done had war on drugs. We done had war on poverty, but there is no war on building the family, right? There's no attention being brought to sustaining the family. Everybody says that the children are the future. Everyone would agree. Everyone would salute that they are our future. But why is there no attention being drawn to how these kids are being raised? Who's cultivating them, right? If they are our future, why isn't it more of an urgency, attention to detail to ensure that everything they need to be successful, right, is happening in their world? Come on here. I wish I had some help in here. But let's talk about it today. Fatherlessness, right? So the Bible has a very, I felt like a touching scripture, right? And it's Proverbs, the 17th chapter, the 6th verse. And it says something like this: children's are the crown of old men, right? And it goes on to say, can you close that door? It says, and the glory of children are their father. Hear that. The glory of children are their father, right? The glory of the children. Hear that. So the glory of a child is in fact their father, right? So what does that mean? The pride, the distinction, the name, their reputation, right? Their nobility, right? Their essence, what is it comes from where? It's their father, right? So a good father, right? A righteous father is the glory of the children, right? Because they're gaining something from that. They're gaining a distinction. They're gaining their name, right? Historically, right? It mattered whose name you had, right? Your name meant something. It established your societal status, right? It's established, your estate, your wealth, your inheritance, right? So it mattered who you were, right? I was recently watching this show called The Bridgerton, right? And they make a big deal about their names, right? For a reason why. And even when it came down to the young women pairing themselves or who they would be looking at, the parents will say, well, no, I heard one mom always keep saying, well, that's because you married somebody who was of nothing. You married them. They weren't made in society. You married pretty much almost like a nameless person. That's how important the name meant and what it meant as far as how it reflected you. So the glory of the kid is what? The name that the father established. If he establishes a good or a great name in the earth, does not the kid not benefit from that? So the scripture says something before I even had the understanding that, listen, children's are the crown of old men, right? And the glory of the child is their father. Oh, come on here. So I think it sounds pretty important for a child to have a good father, right? A father that does not take his name, his legacy, his seed for granted, right? So we live in a world where, guess what? The father or the man does not have that value put on him, right? He can go out here and spread his seed all over the earth, right? Kids and baby mamas everywhere. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing here. What type of glory does that bring to the children? How do they now see themselves? What type of reputation do they have, right? How does that play on their psyche, their mental, right? Where is my daddy? My daddy out here got multiple families, right? He this person daddy, he that person daddy, and now we all gotta figure out how we supposed to be siblings, but don't nobody know one another. Ain't nobody gonna say amen, but this is a real problem, right? Fatherless generation, right? Fatherlessness is the real issue in the world. Why? Because without a father, you cannot establish a home. That might not make sense, right? Because society has told you the woman can be both the mother, she could be the father, she can go out here and make it happen. But I promise you, the statistics might surprise you that kids coming out of single parent homes got some real issues. Oh, come on here. Why? Because the father is absent. The key ingredients of the father, right? The key components of the father is missing from the development of the little girl and the little boy, right? Because some of these men who have been distinguished as fathers don't really know what a father is. Right? And society has done a great job of warping our understanding that we think a father, you just a seed shooter. You don't mind being a baby daddy, just spreading seed. Like, listen, you might as well go down there and sell it down at the little sperm bank, because it's the same thing. When they sell their sperm at the sperm bank, they don't know who those kids are. They don't know who is impregnated. They don't know what's going on, who's developing the kid. Is the kid taken care of? Is the kid getting properly fed, properly nurtured, properly cultivated? They don't know, because guess what? They sold their seed to the sperm bank, and the sperm bank has used it to now engineer pregnancies. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here, but the Bible has a blueprint for the establishing of family. And the father, the man, is a critical component. It's not necessarily a puzzle piece that we feel that's interchangeable. Society has made us think that you can just interchange these things. It don't matter. That's how valuable a man is, that he has no value, because if he had value, you won't be selling that man's seed. Come on here. Why? Because he need to go be a father to that child. There would be a greater expectation. But now let's go a little bit further. Now, if you're just tapping in, we got a serious conversation here. A fatherless generation, our real problem, the real issue in the world. is the epidemic I would call fatherlessness, right? The act or the of fathers being absent from the child, from the cultivating process of the child growing and developing, ultimately absent from the home, right? Absent from the home. And I know a lot of us have settled in this new normalcy of being baby daddies, right? You live over here, they live over there, and guess what? Is it working out? Let's see what it says. So we have a misconception, right? Why? Because society, as the times have changed, what we believe to be right or wrong has changed, right? Everybody understand that, right? As history has changed, as what the world defines as good or normal has changed, our ideas, our morals, our values, our code of ethics, if you want to say, has changed. And all of those changes have played a role in now how we have built what we call the family, right? Once upon a time, history would have said that, guess what, a family, right, or a child being born, I believe the statistic says that at one point only 4% of children born in the world were born without two parents, meaning that a husband and a wife and a family. 4%. Now it would scare you where those numbers are today, because of all of what society has done, because you have to accept that the world you are living in is not necessarily a world that is following the biblical blueprint by God, meaning God is not their God. They are not making laws or policies or their understandings, philosophies, what they believe to be right or wrong or true or false is not built on biblical foundation of what God has designed. That makes sense, right? So what you are getting is a product of the adversary, right? Would that make sense? The Bible tells us in Corinthians that the God of this world has done something to the world, deceived the entire world, right? Into what? Changing what was once right into wrong. Into what? Not following God, not following godly principles, not thinking that these things matter, right? Having you believe that you can eat of this tree, right? And you will surely not die. Is that not making sense? The same philosophy or deception that he was working in the garden is the same deception he has now spread it throughout the entire world, but we all keep eating the fruit, right? And repeating these dysfunctional cycles, right? And who is it hurting the worst? The children are hurting the worst. Why? Because they are the innocent bystanders to the choices of adults. Is that making sense right here? They are the innocent bystanders to the choices of the lack thereof of a father, of the lack thereof of a mother. Just because she birthed a child does not make her a mother. Just because he put his seed into a woman does not necessarily make him a father, right? But society has warped us to the place that we are eating the forbidden fruit every single day, and we are pouring out death unto our own children. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Y'all was worried about COVID, sitting 6 feet apart, putting on masks, taking shots. I asked the question today, do you care about your children? Do you care about them to the point that you would make serious change to ensure that your future, your legacy has a real opportunity? That's the real issue. That requires our attention to detail. So we've been filled with all of this bad information, right? Feminist movements, all kind of ideas, though it's the woman's world, it's the man's world. I can do it better without you. You know, I don't need you, but I promise you we need each other greater than we think. And division has been the key ingredient to destroying a people. Y'all ain't going to catch this, but I promise you it's truer than you think. And that brings me to this profound prophecy in the Bible. It will surprise you that the Bible back in Malachi, the last book preceding the New Testament, speaking of the days of Christ, the judgment days of Christ, when Christ was to make his return and judge the earth. And hear what the prophet Malachi says. He says, behold, this is him saying what God has said. Behold, I'm going to send you Elijah, the prophet, before before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. So this prophecy, this word is coming to the Israelites before Christ walked the earth. Hear that, right? Before we get to Christ walking the earth, he being born and him having a ministry and him going to the cross and being resurrected, this prophecy was being given unto us, the Israelites, right? If I would like to add that, unto us, right? You, me, my people, right? We've been destroyed because this right here is happening right now. So behold, I am going to send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. Now I want you to catch that, right? When Christ first came on the scene, it was a beautiful day. He said, I came what? Not to condemn the world, but to save the world. But something is happening here where he's saying it's going to be a great and terrible day when he comes this time. Why? Because just as the Bible said, as the days of Noah's going to be, nobody is going to be listening. Nobody's going to be living godly. The hearts of people will turn cold. They won't be. It says that the fathers will be against their son, and son against their father, and daughter against father, and daughter against mother, and mother against daughter. It said that it would be chaos and utter darkness, but all the while we would figure out a way to keep on living. You believe that? You believe that somehow with all the darkness going on in the world, the murders, the wars, the nations against nations, families falling apart, that somehow we will find a way to still be going on living life. Just as in the days of Noah, when the world was so horribly dark, it said that the earth grieved. Come on here. That the earth, the blood of the innocent in the earth was crying out to the heavens for God to come and judge the earth, because that's how much darkness was in the earth. Do you think it's possible that you could live in the amongst darkness and it don't bother you? How you can live in a world that's full of sin and hate and diseases and drugs and abuse and rape and murder and abductions and kidnaps going on, and you ain't bothered one bit. Somehow you get up and it has no impact on you. I believe I live in a world today. It don't bother me that somebody died last night. It don't bother me that your kid is abducted and forced into sexual abuse, right? You ain't concerned about the people around you. That's what he talk about, a world where, guess what? Our hearts and minds are so dark and cold that we ain't even concerned about our neighbors, right? If it ain't happening to you or somebody you feeling dear to, it does not exist. But murder is happening every day. Rape is happening every day. Kids are being abducted every day. Epstein Islands is everywhere. You think it's just the P. Diddy parties, but it's happening all over the world. And your powers that be are in conclusion with it. They are part of the problem. But we're going to be worried about who president, who Trump, who Joe Biden. We worried about the P. Diddy going to go to jail or not. You know how many P. Diddies there are? Your uncle is a P. Y'all ain't going to say nothing. You got kids where their uncles is P. Diddy. That baby daddy that's not their father don't love that daughter the way the father loves her, and he is a sexual abuser. This is a problem in the land. So he said that this, when God comes back to this place, it's going to be a great and terrible day. It will not be like when Christ first came, when Christ first revealed himself unto the world, where he came not to condemn, but to save, where he came to be a sacrifice, right? The Father, the love of the Father sent him here to what? Die for you, to give you an opportunity, right? He could have did it a different way, but he sacrificed and shed blood to pay the wages of sin and death that was on your life. And the Bible is declaring here that in spite of it all of the grace, all the sacrifice, we would still reject our God. Do you believe that that's happening today? I think if you turn on the TV, go on social media, you'll see that that's happening today. So he says that this coming will be great and terrible day of the Lord. Now catch this 6th verse. He says, and he will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, and the hearts of the children to their father, right? He will reconcile them together, right? And produce a repentance amongst the fathers and the children to the fathers. Now you got to ask yourself, what happened or what's happening in the world that the father's heart will be turned away from his own children? right? And then the children's heart will be turned away from their own father, right? Is it possible? Because guess what? Daddy ain't raising me. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here. Daddy left me. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. See, it's a little personal for me because I was raised in a fatherless home, right? I knew many men because my mama had many men. Y'all ain't going, listen, I need some folks to understand. If you from this, you understand where my passion is coming from because I had many men come into my life, right? I knew my mama was married 5 times. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here. I know what it's like to be damaged by visitors. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. To have folk that don't really love you now have their hands in on your life, impact your quality of life, your state of mind, your being, right? I'm a product of this epidemic, right? Because my father did not realize who he really was to understand the power and authority that he had on making me. You understand what I'm saying in here? So we got a real issue out here because the world at large has made this okay. You ain't got to marry that woman. You ain't got to be in the house with that kid. You ain't got to raise him. You ain't got to suffer with him. You ain't got to toil with him. Who gonna protect the kid if there's no father there, right? Who gonna ensure that this little girl don't end up becoming something that's her own destruction because ain't no father there to say that's not the right way to go, right? Ain't no father there to now be a protector, a securer, right? To ensure that she's growing up with the right mind, that she's confident, she's ensured she knows love and not love from a boy, but a love of a father. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here. Or who's gonna protect that little boy? Right, who's now being raised by the world? He got to go to the streets to find out what it's like to be a man, and they going to tell him all of the wrong things. You wonder why these boys get caught up in gang banging and drug dealing. Not all of these little boys had bad ideas. No, they went to a place where, guess what? They felt accepted. They felt like, man, they like me. They love me. They felt like somebody was mentoring them. They felt like somebody cared enough about them to show them something, right? Because they growing up in homes where ain't nobody teaching them nothing. The kids is raising themselves. But ain't nobody gonna sound the alarm and say we got a real problem here. Because everybody's a mama, everybody's a daddy, but the kid spend more time with the daggone YouTube and tablet than he does actually what? Learning and being cultivated and being taught by the two people that brought him into the world. We got ourselves a real issue. But don't nobody want to say nothing. So the Bible is speaking to a time where, guess what? There's an issue between fathers and their children and the children to their fathers, right? And he goes on to say that, listen, so that I will not come and strike the land with a curse. So you can interpret that to understand that if the father's hearts are not turned back to the children, if the children's heart are not reconciled back to the fathers, that we would be living actively under a curse, right? And if you understand that a curse cannot come without a cause. I got any Bible readers in here? I got people that understand this thing. You can't just be cursed just cause. No, there is something that's happening that brings you into agreement or brings you into position to be cursed. Does that make sense, right? So you ain't just cursed, but something is happening. Does anybody care what's happening that fathers' hearts are now turned away from their kids? That the hearts of the children are now turned away from the fathers. Let's take it a step further. So what is a father? When we look at this in the Bible, the Greek word braces that a father, one who imparts life and is committed to it, bringing into being to pass on potential for lightness. Let me say that again. A father is one who imparts life and is committed to it. Hear that. So he ain't no weekend warrior. He is committed to this thing, right? He is involved. He's a part of the total process. He's there, right? He imparts life and is committed to it. But society has made us believe that it's okay to give a man 96 overnights and somehow his kid is supposed to turn out all right. How he supposed to impart life on visitation? Y'all got to hear this. This is what we have allowed our legal system, our civil systems, the people, the powers that be to tell us that, you know what, you don't need a man for real. That kid don't need a father 24/7. He just needs a few, give him 1 week in a month. Y'all ain't going to say nothing, but it's the facts. It's the facts here, right? It's the truth. It's the undoubted truth. So the Bible says that a father is one who imparts life and is totally committed to it, right? He is the progenitor. What does that mean? He is the source. Your father is the source of what? Your identity, right? You might think your mother can give you identity. Your father is the source. That's why your blood type is your father's blood type. The whole process draws you back to your father, right? Your mother is an incubator. No shade to the mothers, but the mothers think this kid is mine. And I'm going to control everything about this kid. And society has helped to push this bad idea that it's just your kid. The father don't mean nothing. He ain't got no say. He don't need to be involved. I don't need him. I could do it myself, right? And a lot of kids are suffering right now because of the choices of the mother, who has now negatively impacted them, not just temporarily, but long term. Because if you don't have the source of your identity with you, constantly cultivating and reassuring you of who you are. What is your name? What does your name mean? Oh, y'all ain't agreeing with me, but I promise you, it's the truth. Go ask a kid who was coming out of a single mother home and ask them, what did they really think? Ask them, how did they really feel? How was the journey from you going from being a young child to now an adult? And I promise you, it might surprise you, the report that they give, because guess what? A father is needed. Come on here. You need you a father, not just a man, not just a baby daddy, not just a boyfriend who still don't know who he is. He's still trying to find himself. You're going to need a father, and you're going to need a father for your offspring. You better love yourself enough that when you out here laying on your back and allowing another boy or a man to now spray his seed inside of you, that man is a father, because that's going to be your kid that suffers from your decision, from your 5 minutes of fun, and we was just having a good time, and we just loved each other, right? And now you done brought something into the earth, and everybody want to say ain't no good men, but you chose to lay down with that bad man. You chose to lay down with that dysfunctional, emotional man who was never a father. You never checked the box off that he was a father. Now you done gave your kids something that they gotta spend years fighting with. And now, God forbid, as they get older, now they need therapy, they need counseling, they need all kind of deliverance, they need all kind of help. Why? Because this joker is jacked up. Come on here. I wish somebody would tell the truth. We got a real issue, and it's not been highlighted. It's been allowed to go and go and go. But these kids is jacked up. And the world that you see being produced is jacked up. This is why kids is killing kids. Kids is raping kids now. This ain't even just something left to the weirdos and the goofies. You got kids who are raping each other, kids shooting each other. Where are the fathers at? So it says that the father is the one who imparts life. Hear that. He imparts life and is committed to it, right? He brings into, or bringing into the being. He brings you into your being. Hear that. He brings you into your existence. That's what you missing when you don't have a real father present. It's that thing, that identity, that person that brings and makes you whole, brings you into fullness, into completeness. He is that substance of your inner being, right? Some jokers got a very warped, dysfunctional inner man, inner conscious, inner soul. Why? Because they ain't been cultivated by no man, right? I know a lot of boys, they overly emotional, right? I put it to you like this. Most of these young boys that's growing up in these single mama homes, the boys is treated soft and the girls is treated hard. Now, I know it's true. I grew up in a single parent home. The boys is treated soft and the girls are treated hard. They want the girl to go out. You going to grow up be a go-getter. They want that independent gene in you, right? So now you so independent, when it's time for you to have a husband, he don't know what to do with your behind. Because you ain't learned the balance. Why? Because you ain't see a father-mother dynamic. You ain't see a husband-wife dynamic. So you don't know that. Oh, man, some of you men are suffering right now and getting treated like crap because they was broken at home. Their mama broke them. Some of these females that's dealing with these young men, their mama broke them at home. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. He overly emotional. He ain't stable. Can't hold a job. Can't deal with no authority. Why? Because he ain't having never man to tell him, sit your behind down. Go out there, cut that daggone grass. I don't care how hot it is. He ain't never dealt with that type of communication before. So now he can't even deal with you trying to tell him, I need you. I'm not happy with this. Why? Because mama always coddling him. Mama over there taking naps with him, coddling, laying up like he a daggone infant, right? A father would have said, not so, not my son, get your raggedy behind out from underneath of her behind. You're going to get out here and learn how to fix something. You're going to get out here and learn how to work on something. You're going to get out here and learn how to take care of your home. But you can't learn to take care of your home if you being coddled by a woman. If the woman ain't going to cut you off the breast milk, the boy got a problem. And when he out here now mistreating these young girls because he got mama issues, ain't nobody going to say nothing to mama. Everybody going to blame the fact that, well, he had an absentee daddy, right? But you ain't getting through your mind that 90% of his upbringing was with who? His mama. Oh, they don't want to talk about this. Let's keep moving on. So a father, he brings you into your being, according to the Greek. He brings you into the potential, right? He reveals to you your real potential, right? It's almost like how God is with us. He wants to what? When he said he shaped us and formed us what? Into his likeness, right? Into his image, right? A father does the same thing. He's going to shape you and form you in that little bit of potential that's inside of you. That greatness, it's just a seed, right? He's going to water it. He's going to cultivate it. And by the time it's finished, right, it will be fully blossomed greatness, right? You will step into your totality of who you are. And that's what we missing in the world, right? We missing fathers, right? We missing fathers. So he is the source, right? He imparts life, meaning he transfers something to you. Right? There's a transference that's happening with when you're with your father, when your father is communicating with you. He knows how to properly speak to you, to discipline you, but love you at the same time, right? He knows how to properly target an issue, right? To uproot some things out of you. He knows how to bring your attentions to things that you would not have seen without him. Why? Because a woman in no capacity will ever be a man. How can she tell you what to look for? I'm a man. Who gonna tell you better than me? I was once the boy that had to become the man. And now you will remove that from your life. And guess what? You're going to have a long journey of bumps and bruises trying to figure out, oh, is that really a man? Is it making sense? So bringing into being existence, substance, that inner being, right? How you think, how you operate, how you feel, right? Actuality, you know what that word actuality means? Reveals truth to you, right? Reveals the realities of life, right? Some of these kids are jacked up because nobody really took the time out to reveal the realities of life. You allowed them to live in these false realities. And then, unfortunately, when society says, well, now you are deemed an adult, they got to go out here and face realities they ain't even know they exist. Had they had known, maybe they would have made some different choices. Had the little boy known his seed is sacred, he probably would have said, I can't be spraying my seed all around these little girls because guess what? It's going to do more harm than good. I'm going to fail my future son or daughter by having all these kids all over the place. Is it making sense out here? But if ain't nobody going to tell him about the real truths of reality of this thing called life, and they keep letting him go out there and just enjoy these false truths, right? Because it's a false truth if you think you can have sex with all these women and there ain't no recourse. It's a false truth if a young girl thinks she can let all these young boys touch her and be intimate with her and put their thing inside of her and it ain't no consequences, right? But there is consequences. And if you want to know, go look at these communities, because the communities that are the most ruined, that are the most destroyed, they have the highest percentage of kids that's being raised in single parent homes. Do you see the connection here? Let's go a little further. So, what did he say? If the father's heart don't turn back to the children, if the children's heart don't turn back to the father, what will happen? There will be a curse. Now ask yourself, what is the curse? We're living in this curse, but I'm going to hit something on the nail and it's going to sting a little bit. The curse You remove a father from his children, the child or what's produced will be forever aging but never maturing. Does that make sense? They getting older by the day, but they missing the key ingredients to what? Them maturing and becoming whole, right? Does that make sense? That's why you got a lot of boys who think they men because they are a certain age, but their attitude is very boy-like. Is it making sense? How they interact with people is very, very much like a child, right? They can't talk. They can't put and formulate proper sentences, right? They ain't got no self-control. They angry. They just splurting out stuff. A little boy does that, right? A little boy has tantrums, can't control his emotions. But a man got to know I can't just be out here shooting my emotions all over the place, saying whatever the first thing that comes to my mind. A mature human being understands that I'm allowed to feel, but I got to manage those feelings, right? I got to manage how I express those feelings. I got to be careful how I entreat people. I don't get a license to treat people badly or treat them unjustly or even abuse them because, I'm upset today, right? I had a bad day at work, so I get to come in here and kick stuff around and make everybody feel like crap. No, it don't work like that. People ain't do what you wanted to do, so what, now that gives you a license to treat people poorly? No, but a mature human being understands that. They know it's going to be some tough days outside, and guess what? When I come into my home, I can't bring that into my home. Does that make sense? I can't talk to the woman I claim to love in the old kind of way because it's going to render bad results. But a boy, he's still learning that. He has yet to mature to have these skills well crafted. Does that make sense? A young girl is stuck. She's going to do young girl things. Does it make sense? But a mature woman should not be acting like the child. Is it making sense? So you cursed. Why? Because a lot of these bad parenting type attributes are coming from people who, guess what, they didn't have? Real fathers and real mothers. I know it's some witnesses out there. I know who my daddy was an extension of who his mama was. Is it making sense? I know things that I did to my own kids is an extension of who my mama was to me. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here. I had to go on a journey, a very hard journey of becoming a man because of the lack thereof of there being a real father in my life, right? There is consequences here. You would be forever aging, but not maturing. And now this is what you have going on in society because you got kids having kids, right? And this is why mama got the kids, but she's still trying to find herself. Hear that she's a full-fledged mother. He's a full-fledged father, but he's still out there trying to find who he is. Why? Because yes, he's of age, but he never matured. Nobody never grew him up. Nobody never really made it clear to him that guess what? You brought this kid into the world. Your life is over. It's not about you no more. It's about the success, the cultivating of this kid, because this kid is so important. This kid is so special. This kid, listen, God loves children to the point that you know what? He hates divorce. Now, that might sound strange to you. Why? Because the whole world getting divorced. The whole world getting divorced. They think that it's about them being loved. They thinking it's about their happiness. It's about you raising them daggone kids so them kids have wholeness, completeness. You should be trying to be the best person you could be, right? For the sake of the seed that you now brought into the earth and that now going to have to be the future of the earth. But if you keep bringing in all these jacked up seeds that you ain't committed to growing and becoming your best person, not growing on them. There's a difference between growing on them. A lot of these boys coming out these single mother homes, the issue is that mama was growing on them. So mama had issues, men issues, daddy issues. So now, guess what? They got the boy tucked up underneath of them trying to get the love they never got from their father. Is it making sense? Now this boy's jacked up because that ain't normal. That ain't how it's supposed to be. Somebody got to raise him into a man. And you ain't going to be no man looking for your mama titty at 20 years old. At some point, you got to stand up, right, and go out here and deal with the realities of life. Is it making sense? So the curse that we are under is that what we're producing down on the earth is forever aged. They are definitely growing, right? They having birthdays, but they not maturing. So now you're getting dysfunctional, malfunctional products out here. And you see what's going on in the world. But the problem is nobody wants to address it. Nobody wants to target the real root cause. And this is where this is the issue of what you're missing with not having what the Bible calls this dynamic of family. A mother and a father, a husband and a wife unified in their home, raising their children as one, with the father being the head of the household. It creates the perfect balance. The kid gets everything they're supposed to get in that balance. But when we start to create these new dynamics, this new family structure, who is suffering? The kid is suffering. Because if you think a kid can be raised by two women, good luck for that kid. If you think a kid can be raised by two men, good luck for that kid. If you think a kid can be raised in a single parent household and mama ain't figure out who she is, so guess what? She got multiple men coming in her life, right? And the daughter got to watch this mother go through multiple men. And what is she supposed to think about herself? What is she supposed to think about the world around her? How she supposed to go out into the world and produce something of worth when she in the home looking at the dysfunction? You got to tell me something is wrong here. But we keep giving it a license to be okay. We keep giving it a license to have baby daddy at the baby daddy and baby mama at the baby mama. It's a problem out here. You need to raise your kids. Stop having all these daggone baby mamas and baby daddies. Get with one woman, marry that woman, and deal with it. Because ain't no resets in this thing called life. They got you hoodwinked thinking that you could just back out and you're going to go reset. And guess what? The same levels of lessons you had to learn with the first one, you're going to have them same lessons waiting for you on the second baby daddy, the third baby daddy, the second marriage, the fourth marriage. It ain't no reset. You got to be reset until the real you is changed, is cultivated and redeemed and delivered. All of that stuff that's in you going to keep traveling with you. Do you understand that? You ain't dropping that bag off on the first baby mama. It's still with you. You had issues with her, and if you don't deal with those issues, you're going to have issues with the next baby mama. You're going to have issues with the next baby daddy because you ain't never really fixed your issues for real. You ain't been delivered. You ain't been set free. You ain't been transformed. Your mind ain't been renewed, right? If you don't never stop to go do the work to renew your mind, guess what's going to happen? You're going to keep having kids and jacking those kids up. Why? Because they got to keep learning what you're behind. And by the time you do get right, you done have 5 kids, and guess what? They all jacked up. Listen, I'm the youngest of 5 on my mama's side, and I'm the oldest of like 4, maybe 5 on my daddy's side. I couldn't even tell you. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not talking from a place of judgment. I'm talking from a place of reality. I love my father. I love my mother. But the truth is the truth. The facts are the facts. A cursed generation. A cursed people, because guess what? Fathers is absent from the cultivating of the children. Fathers is not in the home 24/7 making sure that their kids are growing properly. They are the protector. They are the source. The mother should be able to safely reside in her quote-unquote feminine energy and nurture and do all the beautiful, wonderful things she like to do. And why is she safe to do that? Because a man is doing all the other stuff. Look how beautiful that balance works. But if you got to be the woman and the man in your life, you got a tall task. You got a tall it's going to be a long day for you. Let's move on, because I know y'all already tired of this. All right, I know it don't fit. This is what Paul was talking about, 1 Corinthians 13:11. He said, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, what did I do? I put away all of my childish things. All of my childish ways had to die when I what? Became a man for you to become. All of that nonsense, all that junk, all that dysfunction, all that culture and hood, and we sitting back watching BT and rapping and doing all that got to die. Why? Because I don't want to raise my kid to what? He know all the rap songs, but he can't say his ABCs, can't write, can't read. Where he could be 4 years old already doing these things, and by the time it's kids at 14 graduating with master's degrees, but your kid is stuck. He know Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi, Lil Nas, Vert X, he know all of them jokers, But all the things that would have been profitable for his life, he devoid of. Why? Because the parents have failed him. I need somebody to testify that your parents, come on here, I know it don't sound good, they failed you. They actively are failing you, but they have the ability to be redeemed. They have the ability to be renewed. They have the ability to be saved. Why? Through Christ, because that's what he came to do. Hear what he said on the second coming, the day of the Lord, it's going to be judgment. But until that day come, we all got an opportunity to take advantage of grace the right way, right? To do what? Do the work so you're a better father. Do the work so you're a better mother. Do the work so that you don't stop going out here doing the nonsense that ain't producing the right things. The world can tell you whatever they want. They ain't got to believe in God, but I tell you what, his principles worked. Even for those people who did not believe in God. When they raised their kids right, they got a beautiful product. They got a beautiful product, something that they can be proud of, something the kid can look back and now be proud of. This little girl can look back at how two people raised her and see how she's supposed to be. See how to be a woman, see how to be a wife, see how to be a caregiver. But if your examples are crap, it's extremely harder for you to now do better. Is it making sense out there? Or is it me? So, you got boys' dads, baby daddies, but guess what? They forever aging and not maturing. They have not put away their childish ways. You got baby mamas. They females by default. And can they carry a child? Yes, but they haven't developed, right? Because they haven't put away their childish ways. They still trying to find themselves. They still over there talking about their happiness. They still over there talking about what they need, right? And guess what? You were supposed to put away you were supposed to figure all that out. Right? You're supposed to figure all that out before you start bringing these kids in the world. You're supposed to figure all that out. This idea that somehow you're going to bring kids in the world, raise them, and raise yourself? You're supposed to be already at a certain point. And when you start making these adult decisions with your life, guess what? You got to kill the childish things. Right? So if you decide at 14 you want to be a mama, you want to lay down and have sex, guess what? Your childish ways better die quickly. Because you're going to have some real adult things happening quickly. Don't let them fool you out there. They celebrate and they motivate and promote you having sex and these young boys out there having sex like it ain't no consequences. But I promise you, all that childish stuff going to have to die quickly. Because if it don't, you're going to do right what your parents did to you. Jack your behind up. Y'all ain't saying nothing, but it's the truth. So the curse, forever aging, but not maturing, right? Not maturing, not becoming a man, not becoming a woman. And that's next to impossible to do when you don't have the proper pieces in your life, the proper ingredients to now what? Help you now become, right? And that's what the Greek says the Father does. What does he do? He imparts life. He is the source. He is the identity. He is He is the direct connection to you becoming who you supposed to be. A boy needs a father to become a man. Even a girl needs a father so she can know how to become a woman, right? She needs to know how to be found by a man and not out here chasing men. Y'all got to help me out here. The Bible says he that findeth a wife found a good thing. He never said the woman go out there and find it and chase it and pursue it. No, the male is supposed to know how to see you, know what attributes he looking for in you, know what character he looking for. He need to know he looking for a wife, right? So now he can honor you and value you. But if he don't learn these things, he ain't gonna find no wife. He gonna find another baby mama, somebody who's still out here lost, wandering. Right? And now because they lost and wandering, they got no choice but to fail. They got no choice but to hit all these stumbling blocks. So they got to go through 100 men before they figure out I deserve to be loved. What kind of thought process is that? You deserve to be loved from the moment you came into the earth. You were born beautiful. You were born special, right? But why you got to go through that? You're going through that because you haven't really identified you got daddy issues. Your daddy abused you. Your daddy was absent. Now you out out here lost and wandering. Your mama wasn't who she was supposed to be. Now you are here lost and wandering. You are dealing or living in the curse that this prophet was trying to tell the Israelites. If the father's hearts don't return to the children, if they don't take their position and be husbands and not just be out here getting with these women. There's one scripture where the Bible tells the men, you should have stayed with the wife of your youth. Honor her. Why? Because of what it does to the children. But because we out here jacked up, I'm a product that was jacked up. You are here doing things that, guess what? You just further creating more bad things in the earth. Does it make sense? Let's move along. Let's move along. Let's move. I done said a lot already. It's 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock. Now, when a father is removed, when the biblical dynamic is removed, we produce death and destruction. That's what he said. What did the prophet say? He said that what would happen? A curse would strike the land. Complete destruction. Complete destruction. When we don't do things in accordance to God's order, there is only one result. We like to think of ourselves that we somehow are smarter than God. We are greater than God. I can do it another way and produce something different. You think you can go out here when the Bible says sin, the wages of sin is death. Yeah, you might not physically die on the spot, but it's going to ruin your life. It's going to bring things into your life. It's going to bring curses into your life. It's going to bring demonic, dark, spiritual wickedness into your life. It only has one product. It only produces one thing, right? But we think as human beings, just like Eve was deceived by Satan, to think what? She's smarter than God. I'm going to be just like God. What do you think that means? I'm going to make my own laws. I'm going to find my own way. I'm going to do it my way, despite the fact the Bible been telling us for ages now that this way is going to destroy you. We still don't believe it, even though now we got all the history that you can go and Google and see all the destruction. Generation after generation destroyed. You ain't got to guess now. At one point in time, maybe they didn't have the technology to be able to pull this stuff up, but you can look up for yourself. What is the product of a single mother home? Anybody want to know? Do you want to know? Let's get some statistics in here. Fatherless statistics, households led by mothers. Now, there's no shade to the mothers, but this should definitely alarm you and cause a level of awareness to be cultivated so that you can be conscientious of what's happening. So you can make choices that's for the betterment of your children. That's what this conversation is about. Fatherless statistics, households led by mothers. In 1960, there was only 22% of children grew up without both parents present. And before that, it was like 4%. So that means every kid that was born into a household, mother, father, married. You making sense? That number was 22% in the 60s. So we talking about in between the worst of times, that number had gotten to as high as 22%. We talking about slavery. We talking about Jim Crow. We talking about segregation. We talking about jokers getting lynched, hung, the whole bit, right? Where we had no economics. We was supposed to be no monies. We had no resources, nothing, right? The worst of our times for our people, right? 22%. So that means what? 78% was married, households, and growing and developing what? That's where your Martin Luther Kings came from. That's where your Malcolm X's came from. This is where your revolutionaries came from. This is where all them young kids that was a part of SNCC and they was out there revolting and protesting. That's where they came from. Them jokers was going to college. Them jokers was going to school coming out of what? Jim Crow, segregation, being raped, murdered, coming from nothing. Hear that? Guess what that number is now in 2024? 80% of children are being born, what? Without both parents. 80%. 80%. 1 in 3 children live in single parent families. Every third child born is being born into a broken situation, into dysfunction and toxicity, into a path set with landmines of destruction. Because even for the best woman, It's a hard, any one of these good women who raise kids for real. I'm not talking about these baby mamas. I'm talking about a good woman who suffered and sacrificed and raised the kids. She will tell you it is hard. She will tell you. I'm not talking about these ones that's getting the Section 8 and welfare and they getting the food stamps and they getting the... Nah. You married to the government. I'm talking about that woman that was out there who, guess what? Saved herself from having a man. What didn't want to bring no men around her kids. Didn't want to have her son or daughter all jacked up. Say, you know what? I'm taking real responsibility for this kid I brought into this earth. I'm going to raise my kid. Some of the women work 3 jobs for their kid, right? To put them in good schools. Said, no, I'm not going to let you grow up in the hood, baby. Mommy going to get you out of here. We going to get you out of here. Work 3 jobs. That woman, know it's hard out here. Now, that baby mama, she don't know that. I'm not throwing no shade. It's just the facts. A single parent is somebody who ain't getting no support. Okay? They out there doing this thing for real. These baby mamas have been hoodwinked to think that they out here making it happen, but they ain't accounting for the fact they getting child support, they getting welfare, they getting housing assistance, they getting clothes assistance, furniture assistance, they getting school assistance. They ain't saying all this, but they gonna get on the internet and tell you how they do it. They making it happen. Lying. Not telling these kids that their fathers are actually supporting them. Is it making sense? Or maybe I'm crazy, but let's go. Let's let the statistics tell you. Don't let me tell you, because you might think, oh, he talking. He clearly is a baby daddy. Let me go ahead, right? So in the black home, 70%. So if it's 80% for the nation, it's 70% for black folk enter the world without a father married to their mother. That means they got a lot of uncles coming through. I had a lot of uncles coming through. Then I didn't know they weren't really my uncles. And I realized they weren't uncles when, late in the midnight hour, I heard some sounds that my uncle was making with my mama. You see what I'm saying? That'll mess your head up. They think it's a game. See, y'all think it's a game because you think your kids don't know. Your kids see you. They witness you. See, and I know what it feel like to wake up in the middle of the night and hear my mama making sounds, but it ain't my daddy. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing in here, but I know what that does to a little boy. Now, this little boy, and what you think he gonna think about women? What you think how he gonna treat a woman? Who he really gonna be out there if ain't some intervention happen for him to get him on the right track? You think he gonna love and honor and respect women? When this man is coming in my house, he ain't a part of bringing me up. He not a part of really teaching me things, but he get to come through here and smash my mama and roll out. But ain't no man teaching me how to be a man. Ain't no man taking accountability for me. He get to come in here and get his good, and what? He ain't got to work. He ain't got to pay no bills in here. He ain't got to make sure we got clothes. Imagine how that feel when you got needs and your mama getting trashed by another nigga, and guess what? You are suffering. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing, but this is the problem. And jokers is lining up in church on Sundays and knowing that this is going on in these kids' homes. Some of these kids is being abused by this joker that mama bringing in here, being touched on, being sexually assaulted by him. And guess what? Ain't nobody gonna say nothing, right? Everybody gonna stand back and act like this girl is just promiscuous. She just crazy. She just fast. They gonna blame her. They'll go blame them parents. Go blame that mama who wasn't an upstanding mother in front of her, who kept her and protect her from seeing things that she wasn't able to even comprehend as a kid. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing, but let's go on. Kids born in households led by mothers, 90% of them end up being welfare recipients. 90% of them end up being on government assistance. Now go look at your hood. Go look at your hood. Go look at the low income places. I guarantee you they lined up with a bunch of single moms. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. Go check the grocery store on the 1st and the 15th. Guess what you gonna see? A lot of single moms with 2 carts. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. 90% of them welfare recipients. And the child is 5 times more likely to, guess what? follow the same path. Is it making sense? Let's go to health and wellness. 63% of youth suicides from single mother homes. Want to know why? Because she see things in that home that's messing her mind up. He see things in that home that's messing his head up. 63% of youth suicides. Kids being birthed in this dynamic have a 5-time greater average to commit suicide. Don't nobody want to talk about it. Let's go on. 85% of children show behavioral disorders from single mother-led households. 85, that's a big number. 20 times more likely, or 20 times greater than the average. And this is all facts you can go look up. Go to your Center for Disease Control, go to your U.S. Department of Health and Census, go to the Department of Health, Human Health Services. These are their numbers. 80% of kids, youth, born in this dynamic are rapists. How so? Rapist. Why? Why do you think he a rapist? Because that boy ain't being taught how to really treat a woman. He getting a warped impression of what the real life realities are. And God forbid, he may have been assaulted himself. You'd be surprised how many young boys have been assaulted, but they can't come out and say it because out there in the world, you ain't no man if you start talking like I was raped. It's a lot of boys who've been sexually assaulted. Not even just the full measure of rape, but they've been touched inappropriately. They've been touched by somebody that ain't even their own people, their own parent. Who gonna show that little boy to properly use the bathroom if his daddy ain't around? Some other guy. And what if he got issues that's unknown to the people around him? You know how many young girls have ended up in compromised situations and the issue was the mother's quote-unquote boyfriend? Was the quote-unquote new daddy in the house? You are asking for trouble. Keep following what society has normalized. Opening your home to these jokers, you possibly putting your kids at risk. They are 4 times as likely to have emotional and behavioral issues. Let's go on. Sex. Kids born in this dynamic. 71%. They consist of 71% pregnant teens. 71% of kids, girls getting pregnant as adolescents. Teenage pregnancy, 71%. They are 711% more likely to have children as a teen. 711%. Let that set in for you. 164% more likely for premarital birth, meaning that they have babies and they not married themselves. Well, why would I be married? My mama ain't married. My daddy ain't married. They out here running around having babies, right? Who says I need to be married? Who's teaching me that I should be waiting until I'm married to be having sex? Who's showing me that by example? Who is setting these things in place for me so that I have these understandings from a young age? No. You know why? Because they want you to be jacked up like they jacked up. They started having sex young. They don't mind you having sex young. If they really had an issue, they would be standing in between you and these bad decisions. Jokers that, listen, love is going to intervene. Love is not going to sit idly by and watch you walk out that house into compromised situations and not try to do or say something to get your head right. Let's go on. 92% more likely to get divorced. I told you my mama had like 5 husbands, all divorced. I was a divorcee. You hear the patterns? They ain't lying. My daddy, man, listen, this is real. Whether you want to hear it or not, there's some truths here. I'm not saying that there isn't anybody that has overcome, but 92% of us didn't. That's the realities. Adolescent girls are significantly more likely to be sexually active who are growing up in this dynamic. So you keep saying this little girl is fast, she promiscuous, but it might just be where she coming from. But don't nobody want to go point the finger at who's raising these kids, who is teaching these kids these things, who is setting them up for destruction. We are accountable. Men, we are accountable. Mothers, you are accountable. Whether you choose to be or not, I promise you, the day gonna come where that kid wakes up. You better hope they never wake up. Because the day they wake up, they gonna have a real hard conversation. And 9 times out of 10, that mother or father who has yet to grow up, you know what they gonna do? They get immediately offended. Why? Because they still a child. Because what does a child do when now they get tantrums, they get offensive, they start making excuses. You can tell a measure of maturity by a person's ability to now handle tough conversations. Let's go on. Education. 71% of all high school dropouts, guess what? Guess where they come from? Single mother homes. Single parent homes. 71%. That's 9 times the average. You can go look that up. That's from the National Principal Association report. Let's go to drugs and alcohol. 75% of all adolescent chemical abuse patients, guess where they come from? Single parent households. The Columbia University did a study. Teens in single mother households are at a 30% higher risk to smoke, drink, use drugs than those in a 2-parent household. Why do you think that is? Because the father normally is the one that brings structure and order. At a minimum, he's going to say, we ain't doing this around our kids. At a minimum. Why? Because I don't want to implant or imprint this negative, destructive, deaf behavior on my child. But these weak individuals, they going to spark up the weed with the kid. They going to have the alcohol with the kid. Heck, I know a joker, they give the kid some. Why don't you come drink with me? Make that make sense to you in your head. This is a chemical substance that's killing people. Liver cancer, lung cancer, death. Jokers getting type 2 diabetes, all kind of illnesses and sicknesses is associated with these things. And you would want to open the door for your kid to be consuming alcohol, to be smoking drugs. And now when they all jacked up out here in the world, I promise you those same people, they going to back their hands up like they ain't play no role in why you out here doing the things you doing. That right there got to be murder in the first degree. That got to be. I'm going to show you the smoke. I'm going to smoke with you. Let's get some drinks. Come on, stop. Come on, people. Come on. So it says they got at a higher risk to be smoking and drinking and using drugs as a teen. This is not saying that they were adults and made these decisions on their own. They talking about children. Why? Because they are getting exposed to these things in their home. The people around them, the people that's supposed to be raising them. That's why the Bible say raise up a child in the way that they should go. Not your dysfunctional crap. Not, oh, well, my parents was this or my mama was that. No, raise them up in the way that they should go in spite of. You do the work so you can be better than where you came from. Don't sit there and say, well, you measuring your good is just slightly better than what you had. Oh, well, we ain't have Jordans, but y'all got Jordans. Mama, we messed up in here with the Jordans. I'm not getting properly cared for mentally. I'm not getting properly cultivated as a human being. But I got Jordans. Does that make the difference? But that's the type of nonsense you hear, especially from where I come from. I know plenty of folk that we getting raised jacked up, poor upbringing. But guess what? They had on the Jordans, the Nikes, everything nice that came out. And parents really thought, mothers really thought, fathers really think they doing a great job because guess what? Their kid dressed nice. Is that all that matters to this kid? Oh, he got PlayStations and Xboxes and PCs. My kid good. He got everything. What is he missing? A father? What is he missing? Discipline. What is he missing? Proper cultivating, right? That what he missing. You think when he get older and the realities of life are revealed to him, is he going to appreciate the Jordans? Or would he wish that somebody taught me the way to go before I got here? Somebody fought with me. Somebody at least tried to get me to see what I couldn't see. Somebody revealed the realities of the real world to me before now I'm out here and I don't know what to do. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing, but this is what's happening. Let's go to incarceration. 85% of teens jail that's coming out of single parent homes. They in jail. 85%. 80% of people, and 90% of that 80 is males, all came from single mamas. Ain't nobody gonna say anything. Do you not think that you need a father? You ain't got to believe it, but the statistics, the data says you need a real father in your life. The data says that we need to stop playing when it comes to raising these kids and bringing kids into the world, and not be willing to what? Put away all of our childish ways. And now what? Be the man, be the woman I'm supposed to be, even if it means I am by myself. Even if it means, why? Because it's more important that my child is raised properly. My child is sane, don't have all these issues, emotional issues, behavioral issues, dysfunctions, disorders, being led into paths that's what going to lead them to substance abuse and jail and lack thereof of success, leading them into poverty. Don't nobody want to say anything, but this is a real issue. The real issue in the world today is that us as a people, as parents, as men, as women, we have allowed or devalued what it means to have a kid, what it means to be a father, what it means to be a mother, to the point that, guess what? We give these kids anything and we want them to accept that it's our best. And then we manipulate them into thinking that the nothing that we doing, or the quote unquote little that you do, is somehow supposed to be received as if it's the best. And it's not the best. And I promise you, if God be graceful, they're going to arrive at a point in life where they look around at other cultures, other people, other family structures, and they going to have some questions. Why wasn't my daddy like that? Why my daddy ain't play catch with me? Why my daddy ain't teach me how to fix something? Why my daddy ain't show me how to love a person? Why my daddy wasn't present to give me all the attributes and characteristics that a man's supposed to have to go out here and be what? Just a good man. He or she is going to have some questions. Because when they get outside of that element of that culture that makes all this stuff okay, and they get into some other parts of society and they see these family dynamics, they see those parents who, guess what, have dedicated their lives to their children. I mean, they taking the kids to AAU practice. I mean, they on the PTA board. They over there at all the little school meetings. They over there dragging them to soccer and track and this. And they just fully engulfed in the kid, taking them on college tours, teaching them about how to get scholarships. And what do you like? What do you think you want to be? Taking them to museums, really with them, really a part of, teaching them about sex and teaching them about identity, teaching them about who they are, teaching them about their name. Right? When you realize you have been devoid of that, and now you're going to be starting to look at all your little issues and the hardships that you had to face, and you're going to have some real questions. Why did not my mama, right, who had you 90% of the time, why? They should have sent you with your daddy. Would you believe if I told you that single fathers actually have a higher percentage of success of raising kids, and that their success is identical to the success of two-parent households? That might shock you. Now, if all of this stuff is data that, guess what, your nation, your governments, your colleges and universities have gathered together, ask yourself the question, why? Why don't we know this? Why do the courts not ensure? If anything, they should be ensuring that, guess what, them parents raise them kids. Why are they okay with, you know what, just get some child support. You don't need to see that kid. I had a judge tell me straight to my face. He said, sir, all I care about is that you pay that child support. I'm in there trying to fight to see my kids more. He told me to my face, all I care about, that you pay that child support. He had no concern about me being involved in my kid's life. I presented this man with 4 different mock schedules so that I could maximize the time with my kids. And the judge told me to my face, sir, I don't want to see it. all I care about, you pay that child support. He didn't care if I did anything else with my kids but meet my child support. If this data is true, and it's coming from all of these high sources, your CDC, the Health and Human Services, Columbia universities, they've all done these studies. Why do you not see this data now at least being used to change how society is now saying we should be? Nobody says why. Why they showing you on TV nothing but a bunch of broken homes and hoeing and whoring? And why is that? Why is all your music geared towards you, being promiscuous and not being married, not having a family? All your music got you at the club, at the day party, naked, twerking, doing all the things that's what's going to have you out here creating more brokenness, right? Why isn't it being broadcast into your TV, into your social media, into your school systems, into how the courts and the legislative bodies now try to address these issues? Why do you not see this data being used to change how we are? Anybody want to know why? If I told you why, that'd be a whole other hour. That'd be a whole other hour. Because to your surprise, the powers that be do not want you creating families. Now, that might be hard to receive, but I would press upon you. Go read the Willie Lynch letters. Anybody know who Willie Lynch is? Oh, man. I already been on here about an hour. Y'all want to read some of this Willie Lynch letter? Seriously, y'all want? I'm going to go a little longer because they say they want to go a little longer. Let me skip down to this Willie Lynch. Let me give you an insight of how people think. Willie Lynch, I'm just going to get to this little snippet and you're going to understand. You're going to get a little insight. Willie Lynch, this number is from, I think, 1712, and this was pretty much his philosophy or ideology on how to now control your slaves. And just a little snippet, but this is worth you research. It says the breaking process of the African woman. This is what he said you needed to do to now build the best ecosystem for your slave tree. Meaning you ain't got, cause you say basically, you're hanging them, you're killing them, that's basically like losing livestock. You see what I'm saying? You ain't got no livestock, you ain't making no money. See what I'm saying? That making sense? So before they had their recourse, they would kill them, hang them, basically beat them to death, all kinds of stuff. He said this right here. If you do this right here, he promised, and he was right. History would attest that he was 100% right. If you do this, you take on my methods, you won't have no issues with these slaves. They will be perfectly in harmony into this new ecosystem. Meaning you ain't got to have all these guards. You ain't got to go through all of this. Just take a little snapshot of what they understood. And he identified what to do to the women to get this thing rolling. The initial, you might have heard of buck breaking. So one thing they would do is they take the men, the strongest man. So they take this strong man, bring him in front of his family, his wife, people, and they would buck break him. You know what I'm saying? And some of that meant where they would rape this man and emasculate him in front of the woman. Now, why you think they wanted to do that? One of their initial key parts of his method was to break the woman's natural dependency to her man. So hear that now. Now you fast forward. Ain't no natural dependency. It's I'm an independent woman. But there was once upon a time, even as a slave, where you had a natural, psychological, innate dependency to your man. Now, mind you, this man at the time, you ain't gonna ask him what he was bringing to the table. This dependency wasn't based on income. This independency wasn't based on materialistic things. This independency was a natural, something in your natural design that you had towards the black man or to the husband. See what I'm saying? Is it making sense? So just hear what they did to the women after they did these things to the men, but they knew for it to really work, they had to get the women on board. He literally says that for it to really work, for it to really take course, we have to get the women. The same way when Satan, the adversary, went in the garden, you don't hear him saying that he got Adam. He went and what? Got Eve. Because through Eve, he could what? Get to Adam. Hear that. And this man had the same similar philosophy. So he says the breaking process of the African woman. Then take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor of good economics. Hear that. The woman, that's true to this day. The woman is the most important factor for good economics, right? If she shows any sign of resistance and submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bull whip on her. So there was where they would tie the men to like these horses, each part of them, and hit the horses and make them run and split them like this. So he says, do not hesitate to use the bull whip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. That's his words. Take care not to kill her. Don't kill her. For in doing so, you spoil good economics. Why? Because I need her to work them fields. I don't want to kill my animals. So he basically was comparing the same way they would buck break horses and animals to how we should now address our issue with these slaves. Because these slaves keep revolting. These slaves coming here killing us in the night. You know, they burning our crop. You see what I'm saying? They're having issues. So he says, when in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Now, part of this understanding was because after she saw what happened to the dad, you think she going to teach her son to fight? Nah, she going to teach her son to submit. Wow, your daddy just got raped in front of all of us. Your daddy just got down there ripped to pieces in front of all of us. So they wanted to emasculate the man with an idea to move the man out of that authority position, out of being in front of the woman, being what she would psychologically naturally be dependent on, where she would feel safe and secure. So this is a mind game. This is psychological operations at its best. So he goes on to say, understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female and nigga. That's what he says. We have reversed relationships. So if your natural relationship, if your natural desire was a woman to her husband, a husband to his woman, and their natural roles of a man being the head and being a protector, the source, the provider, right? Depending on him on those things, we want to what? We want to reverse the relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigga male. And she would have a limited protective tendency towards her independent male offspring and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. So what did they want to target? They not only wanted to break her, but they wanted to use her to ensure that what she produced, the offspring, would also already be psychologically programmed to what? Not respect men, not have a value for men, and now be independent. But her independence would go from the man. Her dependency would go from the man. And this illusion of independence will leave her totally dependent on the white man, if you want to say, on the slave master. Now, you make that make sense. That's the same thing, the same idea, thought process around all of these social programs. Now, you might not believe this, but there was a news article, a news broadcast came out in 1973. Called Welfare and Fatherless Homes. And it broke down the correlation to these social programs and absentee fathers. Because what people don't know is that these programs have policies that say the man cannot be present in the home. Their father cannot be present in the home. You cannot be married and get those assistants. You cannot. Now, why would they want to have programs that's geared to the removing of fathers out of the home, incentivizing single mother homes, instead of you saying, let's help the whole family get together? Let's help the whole family be better. You got to ask yourself. So here you go. Here's a little bit more. So once they break her, she will naturally raise her offspring to be just like her. Nature had provided time with this balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigga apart and bull whipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. So we want to destroy the man, the value of the man, any faith she have in the man, any dependency she have on the man, whether natural, psychological, mental, we want it to be destroyed. And if need be, we going to bull whip this joker, burn and pull that guy and whipping him to the point of death in her presence, in the presence of their children. Is it making sense? He says, by her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offsprings in reversed roles. For fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak. That's what you see happening. That's why these boys is being coddled and they come out all emotional and mentally weak, and then they go out there and shoot somebody. Why? Because they can't handle somebody cracking on them or telling jokes or talking about them. So guess what? He got an outburst. He gonna be angry. He mad. He ain't got no self-control, right? So here it goes. So she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak, independent, but physically strong. Why would they want that? They didn't want to take the man's strength as far as physical. They want him to go out there and work. But they wanted him to be mentally weak so that they can what? Make him subservient. So that he would better serve, not revolt. And to do that, they utilized the woman. It says because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. Do you not see that going on in today? What they raising you? You independent, you go get him. You don't need no man. You don't understand the trickery that's behind that. What have you got? He says, let's make a slave. You got the nigger woman out front and the man down behind and scared. What you see happening now, the woman is out front. Where the men at? They not there. Where they at? They in the streets. They out there having more babies. They ain't doing nothing to say accountability, integrity, character, respect. Being on the forefront, being the leaders of the home. Even when they within the home, guess what they are? Suckers. They in the home, and the woman is the man of the house. In my line, these jokers that's broken, these men that's broken like that, they in the home, even the ones that's there, but they not the head of the home. They not setting the standard of the home. They not teaching nothing in the home. The woman is still the man in the house because she has been psychologically programmed to follow this same method. It worked then and it's working now. And you ask yourself why you ain't have another Dr. Martin Luther King, another Malcolm X, another revolution. Why are we still in the same place even though we quote unquote supposed to be free? Because they've realized, man, we ain't got to hang these jokers. We can just psychologically program them into doing exactly what we want. So now what you got? The young girls don't know. So, you know, they out here doing, they twerking and carrying on naked. They don't know. They don't know they being programmed. They don't know the music they presented with. They don't know the entertainment they presented with. They don't even know how they being taught. They being cultivated right into this mindset. Is it making sense? All the programs are geared towards single moms. Ask yourself how many programs are geared towards fathers or families. Next to none are about a total family being built and cultivated. Why? There is a reason. And this is why since 1960, that number is up to 80%. When all of these different policies and social reforms, there was a war on poverty by President Johnson that introduced all these programs. But the fine print on those programs said that, guess what? These fathers can't be in the home. Even right now, child support is incentivized through the states. So how can an incentivized program be fair? If the states are benefiting from putting people on child support, they're not benefiting from making sure both parents is in the household. They're not benefiting from making sure that both parents got equal parenting time. They're not benefiting from keeping families together. They get incentivized from separating fathers from their families. Is it making sense? So now you wonder why the hearts of the fathers have turned away from the children, because they've been psychologically programmed that this is destroying me. I'm on child support. I can't afford no food. I can't afford to live. And they telling me they taking, some of these jokers is losing 60, 40, 80% of their income. How they supposed to go out here and live and feel like they something to their kids? How you think they feel after they done given up 60% of their pay and they barely got enough to make it ends meet, and then the kids say, well, I want some sneakers. Y'all be looking at these jokers strange when they be on that phone talking about, nah, I seen that child support, but you don't understand what they going through. Now, I'm not justifying it, because listen, I pay child support and I do the best to give my kids all the stuff they ask me for. So don't come for me in the chat, because I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Because in spite of all the stuff I experienced, I fight to be in my kids' life. Now, on to what he said. I'm going to wrap this up. You've got the nigga woman out front and the man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep. He's saying we can sleep peacefully. This thing is going to run on its own like a machine. This is perfect for sound sleep. Now that we have broken this woman mentally, we've removed her natural dependency, her natural mental towards the man, her natural value of the man, and we have now placed her and made her the man, made her the head of household, and she's going to raise those kids the way we want her to raise them. Why? You no longer married to the man, you married to the government, because it's going to be more beneficial in your mind. Why would you toil with that man, right, who's struggling to be a man? Maybe he don't got, when the government say, don't worry about that, you get him out the house, how many kids you got? 2, 3 kids. And get you about, that's 1,000, easy, put 1,200 in child support. Then, don't worry, we're going to take care of your health benefits. Don't worry, you need housing too. We got Section 8, we got low income. We're going to give you all of this stuff. Why are you going to stand beside your man? You ain't standing beside that man, and you ain't going to respect that man, because your only value that you know of the man is what? Financial. What he bring to the table. That's what you hear all these conversations online. Well, what he bring to the table? Because I got this. But what they ain't saying how they got this. How they got this is on the taxpayers and the child support and the programs that have afforded them that. Ask that man how many programs is geared towards him going to college, geared towards him getting on his feet. Ask the jokers after they done been birthed in these jacked up situations. It said 85% of these youth is going to jail. How many of them jokers post coming from a bad home ended up in jail, now got programs geared towards them now coming out here and being successful fathers and men? They will tell you next to none, if any. But most of the women that's out here waving a degree around or they got a license or something, what they ain't telling you is all the resources that have supported them into that. And why did they do that? That was strategic psychologically to ensure now you have this fake independence that's now robbing you of having what the Bible says is the nuclear family for the success of your kids. Because they want to destroy your kids. Here's what they said. Before the breaking process, we were alertly on guard at all times. Before they did this to the woman and moved psychologically, transformed her to basically make her the enemy to her own people, they said we had to be awake and on guard at all times. We had all kind of problems. Why? Because that man naturally would die for his family. Naturally, a man would die for his family. But now that we done did all this, guess what's going to happen? A natural born hate. For who? He going to hate that woman. He probably hate them kids because they're part of it. They looking at him funny. They don't value him. They don't respect him. They don't know. Those kids don't even know that they part of the programming. But guess what? Guess who got to deal with that? That father. Now, you don't know why that father has been out of position. Now, I'm not saying it's some jokers that have voluntarily chosen they don't want to do with their kids. But trust me, there's a whole lot more, and the statistics will reflect there's a whole lot more, especially of the black fathers who are trying or attempting to be in their kids' life. But this is what they battling right here. This is what they battling. He says, now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman, listen to that, his woman stands guard for us. His woman has been psychologically programmed to now stand guard for them instead of where she would have been right there with her man and been, listen, my man got it. No, sir. No, sir, you ain't got it. I'm going to the white man. And I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm not trying to sound like a stereotype or racist, but this is what this is depicted. They said instead of her being dependent on the black man, she would now be dependent on the white master. And the same thing is happening now. It just has evolved and become more commercial, if you want to say. So this is what you're being trained toward. This is why when you look on the music videos, they're not family. Nah, leave him to the left with him. No, go get you another man. By the time you get finished getting 10 jokers, you probably should have stayed with that one joker and figured it out. That's what they ain't telling you. Because all the hardship you done went through at the 10 other jokers that ran through you, they ain't a father. You end up with 4 more babies. You probably should have stayed with that joker who was trying to figure it out. Now, I ain't saying he was perfect, and I'm not exempting people from responsibility, but hear what I'm saying. It's better that you stick with that man and y'all get together and put away your childish ways and figure out how to be better people, be married and raise your kids, protect your kids. Now you can teach your kids. Now you can give your kids identity. Rather, they be into this system of the world, and the system of the world is going to raise a bad product. They're going to raise a product that's loyal to them, that's conforming to their like and image. Who is their God? Satan. So this is why you got kids running around, they jacked up, because guess what? They learn who to be who they are from music. They learn who to be they are from the streets. They learn who to be who they are from these bad systems. And guess what? Now you looking at them because they jacked up. But ain't nobody want to get to the root source of it. The families have to come back together. Families have to come back together. Men, stop having all these baby mamas. Women, stop spreading your legs. Put your panties on. You don't need another baby. You don't need another baby daddy. Get yourself together. Put away your childish ways. Come get renewed. Come get delivered. And we can raise a healthy family. You know what healthy families birth? Healthy communities. You know what communities birth? A healthy nation. But they know this. This is not a secret. They know ever since they've implemented these things that it has been the destruction of the family. And they've only increased in their ideology. Because now, guess what? Instead of the woman being home and possibly raising the kids, no, the economy is so bad you need 2 people at work just to keep the lights on. Just to have a decent vehicle, just to transport yourself from A to B. So now who raising the kids? Nobody. Internet, YouTube raising them, TikTok raising them, Snapchat raising them, the school system is raising them. Everybody raising and spending more time with your kid than you can, because guess what? Even when it's all said and done, even for 2 good people out here who trying, well, guess what? Now they come and bring in a bad economy on your head to ensure that, guess what? We going to be the ones that control who your kids are. We going to be the ones that give them identity. We going to be the ones. We going to do it. So now the kids know more about rap and celebrity than they know about who they are. Kids get 12th grade, still don't know who they are. But I promise you, they know their favorite basketball player. They know their favorite rapper. They know all these other things that are what? Meaningless to them. Because that ain't going to feed you. Show me where you knowing every Beyonce song, putting a meal on your table, making sure your kids is good. Show me that you know all the little dances and you know and you're popular in the club, but you can't raise your kids. Tell me it matters. And I promise you, I'll show you that it does not matter. I grew up in the hood where they were A-OK. Sit a kid in front of the TV and the kid watching BET all day, watching bull crap all day, and the kid know every song that come on the TV, but he can't read and write. Do you not know they build prisons right now based on the fact of what your standardized test scores are at the 3rd grade? And if 85% of these kids is going to jail, you wonder why the industrial prison system has been such a success. We are the problem. But until we come out from all of this nonsense, get off of these world systems, stop believing these jokers when their policies, their systems have done nothing but been the evolution of what the Willie Lynch letter has said when he said, let's make a slave. Let me teach you how to make a slave. It's the same philosophy. And instead of them promoting you be a better person, no, they're going to give you, go down there and abort that baby. That's what they're going to tell you. No, instead of you put your panties on, little boy, put your thing in your pants, wait till you are ready to be a father, wait till you are ready to be a mother. No, they're not going to tell you to do that. No, because that would be too much. Celibacy? Oh, no, wait to be a wife? No, that's crazy. Your dad is losing his mind. What's wrong with us having fun? I'm going to tell you what's wrong, because you performing in the program, and the program going to destroy you. It's going to destroy your offspring. That's the results. The results are proven. The data, the facts are out there. If you thought another way was working, well, go do your own research and see for yourself. You ain't got to take my word for it. But I tell you what, Nicki Minaj ain't helping you. Beyonce ain't helping you. Lil Nas X ain't helping you. Lil Saucy Santana walking around. These jokers ain't helping you. Kai and them, they ain't helping you. Kevin Hart, they not helping you. These jokers is not helping you. LeBron, I don't care what it is. These jokers, what are they showing you? What are they putting into the earth? They are in the system themselves. They are controlled by the system themselves. They cannot go against the system. Otherwise, they ain't getting that money. That money, that billionaire is tied to the system. That's why 99.9% of them got the same messages. Tell me, where are they at in these communities for real? I'm not talking about that bogus, oh, I gave 10 million. No, tell me where they boots on the ground in these communities for real. I be boots on the ground in these communities, and I ain't seen none of them. I ain't seen your American Red Cross, your FEMA, your Goodwill, I ain't seen none of them. When I'm out there in Kensington and Frankfurt, and the jokers, there's kids out there doped up on opioids, with the parents. You don't see them out there. That part of the world don't exist to them. And they ain't got no problem with you being in that part of the world. They building more prisons for you. So if they really care, why won't they really address the real issues? Bring these families back together. Stop incentivizing absent parenting. Stop incentivizing bad parenting. Stop it. That's the real issue. And he said, what did he say? He cannot get past her infant slave process. He is now a good tool. Now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. This is what happens. He says by the time a nigga boy reaches the age 16, he is soundly broken. And guess what? They don't got no problem putting him in jail even though they know they broke him. Ask them that. When he's in there, right? And now he's getting charged with sexual assault. But they not looking at how he was raised. See, the mama don't get charged. The absentee daddy, he don't get charged. That kid get charged. When he out there, he's selling dope or doing some nonsense on the streets, the kid going to jail. They know they broke him, but they going to lock him out. Why? Because they going to make more money off him in the prison system. Because that's the part y'all don't know. The prison system is a cash cow. Free labor. But don't nobody want to stop. Ain't nobody going to turn the music off. Ain't nobody going to turn off the bad TV. Ain't nobody going to stop with the bad parenting. Everybody got an excuse. Well, that's how, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know. We don't care what you've been through. That kid do not care what you've been through. That kid does not care. I'm going to say it for him. The kid don't care why you jacked up. All they want is a good mama and a good daddy. I know every kid in here would gladly raise their hand and say, if I could have me a good mama and daddy, I would definitely choose that over all this nonsense. It's just what it is. Says by 16, that boy is broken. He's ready for life's sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggas by throwing a nigga female savage into a frozen psychological state of independency. Hear the curse. What was the curse? You will be forever aging but never mature. Frozen psychological state of independency. You think you have made it, but you haven't. By killing the protective male image. They have destroyed and emasculated the male. The male has no value in society. He has no value with his own children. He got no value no matter where he goes. By creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigga male savage. By killing the protective male image. By destroying his value, his image to his people, to his home, to his community, to his own kids and his supposed to be his woman, his wife, by destroying that. This is what we have done. This is what they have done. He says what? Killing the protective male image by creating a submissive, dependent mind of a nigga male savage. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Now they don't got to do all of this stuff. because it's now built into a program. It's in your TV. It's in your ideologies that they're teaching at school. It's in the music. It's in all the things that you love, because look what they promote. They will promote you being a baby mama before they promote you being a wife. Ask yourself why. Ask yourself why everything around you promotes what? Drug dealing men, thug men. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing here. Gangster man, he got jewelry, he got cars, but where's his kids at? He got money, the money man, he rich, but where's his kids at? Where's his family at? Open your eyes and see that the world is pushing out a program for your destruction. And if we don't get off the program, we are now accountable. We culpable to this thing. We are part of it. He said, man, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position. What is he saying? Bring back the order to the homes. Bring back the order to society. Unless a phenomenon occurs to reshift the positions of the female savage. That means take her from being the head of the household and bring her back to the man being behind the man, or the man being at the forefront. This will never change. That's what he said. Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the female savage, we show what we mean by example. Take the case of two economic slave units and examine them closely. It would take a phenomenon for you to be psychologically returned back to your true nature, how God created you, after all the programming they have done. And the problem is now the programming has been commercialized, because child support, don't nobody got an issue with it. Welfare, don't nobody got an issue with it. Section 8, low income, don't nobody got an issue with it. Instead of people using those things to actually further themselves, you know what happens? They get relying on them. They're there to create a dependency to the system. That's why they're there. And they know the language and the policy say you can't have no husband and get that help. So you think you're going to really be in pursuit of having a husband? No. You're going to rather have some more baby daddies, some more boyfriends, some more uncles that ain't your kids' people. It's just the facts. And look at your world, because you got more people now, more baby mamas and baby daddies than ever before. And now there ain't enough just to have one baby daddy or one baby mama. We got to now go out there. You ain't doing it right if you ain't got multiple nowadays. Where you think your society's going to be at in 5 years, 10 years from now? If you don't stop the nonsense. Everybody wants to sit there when it's all the damage is done, and now they want to complain about what life is. But don't nobody want to get to the root cause. We have to get the family back. You need a father, a real father. You need a real mother. You need two people invested into you, raising you, and you see how they loving each other. You see how they overcoming the pressures and journeys and storms of life. And now that's what? Your examples. But if we keep thinking we could just do our own thing and operate out of the order of God, you're going to get destruction. I know y'all tired of me, man. But you want to go read this. You want to go read this, because it goes on to talk about how now we can breed two nigga males with two nigga females. And then we take the males, keep them from the kids. Keep them moving and working. Say the one nigga female bear a nigga female, and the others bear a nigga male. Both nigga females being without the influence of the nigga male image, froze with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. Now, this sounds like some nonsense, but if you stand back and look at your world today, you've been engineered the same way. Right now, today, the man has no presence, no value in the home. And listen, I'm not making excuses for bad people. Are there bad men out there? Yes. Are there bad women out there? Yes. But we as a people, we all over the whole entire nation, because once upon a time, this was just a black issue. But now this is becoming a national issue. America leads the race in broken homes, with all the statistical data that says that's a problem. You want to know why the crime high? Go look at the areas where the crime high, and you going to see single parent homes. You want to know why the dropouts is high, kids ain't graduating? Go look at the areas where this is at its peak. The data does not lie. As they say, numbers don't lie. So you ain't got to take my word for it. But today, if I say nothing else, the Bible, Malachi 4:6, the prophet Malachi was putting out a very prophetic message, and we see it actively alive today in our communities and our world at large. This is a major issue. Too many kids. For it to be 2024, and data is saying that 80% of kids, 1 in 3 kids that are being born into a single parent home. It lets us know that we no longer value relationship. We no longer value marriage. And we keep encouraging bad behavior and putting a Band-Aid on it. Because getting an abortion ain't going to solve you having sex before marriage. You just going to keep having sex. Having birth control ain't going to make you now discipline your body. No, you just going to take the birth control and keep being undisciplined. And that undisciplined behavior is going to create disaster. It's going to create disaster. Drinking your problems away, smoking your problems away, do not fix your problems. But the world and society don't mind prescribing you a prescription for your issues rather than tell you what not to do from the root, from the beginning. No, go ahead and drink till you kill yourself. Don't worry, we got a medicine for that too. Go ahead and eat all you want to eat. Don't care. Don't worry about it. You get diabetes. We got a shot for that too. That's the world you living in. Instead of them promoting and pushing out what is actually good. You want to know why that's an issue? Because good is not profitable. What God is teaching ain't profitable. Ain't no making no money on that. See, porn and sex and nudity sells. Okay? Why you think all these women, for them to be artists, they got to be naked? Why she can't just rap? Why she can't really just rap? Ask yourself, why she think she a rapper, she a lyricist? Why she can't just put the lyrics out there? Why she got to do all of this? Because sex sell. Ain't nobody going to the poetry jam. How many people going to the poetry slam? Everybody like rap. Why they not going to go hear the poetry? Why not? Because guess what? They want to see a performance. They want to be entertained. But look, man, I'm going to let y'all go, man. I hope that something was said that just opens your mind. I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just here to present the facts, the data, and correlate what we see in our world to what the Bible has already told us. So I hope that without being too personal, and that I was able to stay objective and share the word of God in conjunction to our history, the stats and status of our current communities, our families. And I hope that the thought was conveyed with love, because I'm not here to judge or tear people down. But we have to tell the truth, and sometimes hearing the truth is so hard. It's so hard to hear. When I was doing this research, and I got way more stats and studies that I could touch on, it impacted me. It impacted me as a man who is, I'm a product of this fatherless epidemic, if you want to say. I come from that. It impacted me as I am a father that has kids who do not primarily live with me. So I'm not speaking from a place of where I'm looking to hurt people. But the reality of it is that if we don't begin to address these things, we are doing not only ourselves a disservice, but these kids are being done a disservice. These kids need fathers. These kids need mothers. And together we can form the family the right way for the success of not only our own individual families, but for our communities and ultimately our nation at large. But if we keep making excuses and we keep excusing the bad behaviors and we keep allowing this victim mentality and what somebody did and, oh, the white man put me down and all the different things, I heard it all. Nothing's going to change. So until next time, welcome to Covenant of Believers.